Good day, kind fellows and fair maidens. Welcome back to another episode of Rogue Theory. Today I want to talk about a subject called being cool. Now, my theory is that being cool is essentially like a drug. And it's kind of like any other drug where too much of it is really not good for you. But once you have it once, and if you enjoy it, chances are you're going to want it again. And eventually it becomes where you need it, and you become reliant upon being cool. And I think that can become your actual personality. So, with that said, I can tell you a little bit about my story growing up, and just kind of a highlight of where I made some changes in life. And when I was pretty young, like middle school age, early high school, a lot of kids did like weird stuff, dressed kind of weird. um, Living in the southeast USA, it was pretty funny. One year some kid would be dressed up like he's some rapper, and the next year they'd come to school decked out in like camo, not army camo, like hunting camo. And I always found that pretty funny. Like, hey, how was your summer? Oh, turns out I'm gonna be driving a pickup truck when I get to be 16, so I figured I'll just go ahead and make that transformation. And, of course, we're all going through puberty and hormones and all that kind of stuff. But, the point is, everybody was just trying to be cool. And, I guess I could somewhat understand. We all have that little thing inside of us that wants to feel like we're cool, or wants some people to think that we're cool. I mean, I don't think I was any exception, because at that age, I didn't like change my dress code or my style. Not that I really had much. Pretty much wore a Yankee t-shirt and shorts to school every day. Oversized backpack that I rode to school with, and luckily it wasn't a rolly backpack, so I saved myself from that embarrassment, because those were pretty popular back then. And yeah, well, if you had a rolly backpack, you definitely weren't trying to be cool. So I can definitely say that. No offense to if you had a rolly backpack. I mean, you conserved your energy all day. You're actually pretty smart. But yeah, I mean, I was no real exception. What I thought was cool was pretty much sports. I always thought sports was cool. I always enjoyed playing sports. And I followed baseball, football, basketball, the NBA. And growing up, where I went to school, it was right across the street from, how do I say this, not so privileged neighborhood, and they played a lot of basketball and football. So there was a lot of guys who were just great athletes, much better athlete than I was. A couple of them were, got scholarships and went on to play college sports, and I think one of them even, he didn't really make the NFL, but he made like the practice squad of the NFL, which, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you consider that the NFL. I guess it's really close. So we had some great athletes, and I like to play predominantly basketball with them. So when I'd get home from school, sometimes do my homework, sometimes not, I'd go outside and I begged my parents for a basketball hoop outside, even though we had a park right around the corner. And I remember I had to have a chain net. Why? Well, guess what? Because I thought it was cool. And did make a great sound. But I would go outside and I'd practice basketball moves, under the legs, spin moves, of course, be shooting around, and I got to be a decent player for being a short white kid. What was my motivation for that? I guess my motivation for that was just wanting to be cool, wanting to fit in, wanting to be, I guess, respected in some level as a eighth grader. How much respect can you get? But the respect from your peers, I guess, it's something that always matters throughout your life. And that comes from coolness. So that's part of the reason I think why people care so much about being cool. And I had that conversation with myself. I'm pretty sure it was in eighth grade, towards the end of eighth grade. And I was fortunate. I learned pretty early on about a couple things. And, well, I guess one thing leads into the next. And that is honesty. And more importantly, being honest with yourself. So, pretty early on in my life, I decided, hey, I want to live my life in an honest way, because I had been not lying, but like pretending to be something that I wasn't. And I'm sure a lot of that had to do with just my age and environment and not really knowing who I wanted to be or who I was going to be yet. But, fast forward to 2019, yeah, I'm still not cool. Almost 30 years old. And what I've witnessed a lot of is people who are adults, whatever age you want to call an adult. I mean, I wouldn't say 18 is really being an adult just yet. Whether you're going to go to school, after high school, if you're going to go to college or not, maybe you get into the workforce, whatever. I think it takes a lot longer to really become a true adult. You have to go through more in life. You have to experience a lot more struggles, and things you've overcome to really become an adult. But what I do notice is that a lot of adults, especially young adults, they seem to be on this mission to just always be cool. Whether they're wearing something that's wacky for them, like sunglasses inside, or I don't know. I mean, really expensive clothes that there's no real reason to wear them. And maybe they can afford them, maybe not. But if you're gonna go into debt to buy them, then you're really just, whether you're buying a pair of sneakers, a pair of sunglasses, a pair of, a shirt that's expensive, whatever it may be, a pair of Jordans, and you really can't afford it, you have to go into debt to buy it, then you're probably buying it for the wrong reasons. And I think that reason is to be cool, or to look cool. And, I also see that same reason for the choice of career. I was living proof of that for a long time. You got a lot of people who want to be musicians, actors, pro athletes, YouTubers. But for me, I really wanted to be in the film industry. That was what my passion was. I mean, still is to a certain extent. I still really enjoy making films and, just being creative in the way I know how. And there's nothing wrong with those aspirations at all. I just think that the motivation sometimes can be a little misguided. If you're looking to do a certain career just so you can say that to people, just to say, hey, I'm an actor, or I'm a rapper, I'm a rock star, I'm a musician, whatever it may be. If that's your motivation to do that career path, then I don't think that you have the right why, as you'd say, the right motivation. So, like I said, I definitely understand having those passions and having those dreams, but it's got to be for the right reasons. And I find that a lot of adults really haven't been able to find a way to overcome their own ego and their own pride. It's something that I work on constantly, because every once in a while my ego can flare up for dumb reasons. I mean, somebody said something to me, asked me a question I didn't particularly like, or whatever it may be, and chances are that it's totally innocent. But anyways, it's just not. That's not cool. I see the constant need for attention, but oftentimes that need for attention ends up just being another part of conformity. And the way I grew up, just conforming to whatever society wants, is I don't really find that to be cool. Now, of course, we all conform to a certain degree. Like when I drive, I'm driving on the correct side of the road, or I'm not running out of the house naked, so I'm definitely conforming to a lot of things. And I think people get kind of sucked into things that are perceived to be cool, or society says that they're cool, like, I don't know, watching TMZ, or having to be up to date with all, the newest pop music, and the celebrities, the Kardashians, whatever, all those, people who are famous just for the sake of being famous. I don't really understand it, because they don't have any bearing over your life. I just see a lot of big egos, and where does that stop? Well, where does that journey of wanting to be the coolest person wherever you are stop? Where does that keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak, ever stop? And I think it just comes from ego. I think it does make people feel good to look in the mirror and see someone, quote unquote, cool. I'm no exception either. I mean, I definitely, if I am wearing something that I think makes me look cool, maybe it's a nice suit, or it's just a well put together outfit. It's like, awesome. There's that self-image that goes along with that. But just getting too far into it, being too focused on yourself, will definitely cause you to have that addiction of being cool. And it all comes back to that chemical in our brain called dopamine. You see something cool, or you see yourself as cool, you see yourself as somebody that's desirable, and you keep telling yourself that, you should have confidence. It's good to have confidence, but it's got to be true confidence. And I'll come back to that dopamine in another video, because I think that has a lot to do with the way society in the United States kind of runs itself. But I think this addiction to being cool can be very detrimental in a few areas, mainly finances and mental health. Because looking the coolest isn't necessarily the best way to go about life, and then always comparing yourself to somebody else, especially someone that you don't even know, maybe someone you do know and you don't even like, or they don't even like you, because you're in a constant battle, a constant competition to try to one up each other. And maybe it's not like on the surface, maybe it's something that's underneath, but you see people who do this, and not to say that I'm better in any way. I just find it kind of sad to live that way, because I don't think there's any real substance that comes out of that. And maybe you drive a nice car, maybe you drive a BMW or Mercedes or an Audi or whatever, Ferrari, Lamborghini. I think that's pretty damn cool. But the problem is, if you're sacrificing your future for your present just for the sake of being considered cool or getting looked up to by people when it's not for something that's really internal, it's all for the external, then in reality, that's pretty lame and the opposite of cool. So I'll end with this. Don't let being cool take away your actual coolness. Just be yourself. I've been Marquisio the Rogue, sneaking out.